Welcome back. I'm Jill with the carefreekitchen.com, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my recipe for raspberry sweet rolls. And if your family loves cinnamon rolls, you are going to love this recipe. And once you make these, you'll never go back to the original. Okay, here are the ingredients that you're going to need to get started. So I have just some regular all-purpose flour here. I have a little bit of active dry yeast, some oil, some salt, some sugar right there. And then I'm going to be putting in a couple of eggs here and then some water. And this needs to be warm water, about the temperature of your wrist. And if you want to get technical, about 140 degrees. And I have 2 cups here. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is pour my warm water in. And then I'm going to add in about 1/4 cup of sugar, a couple tablespoons of yeast. I do like to mix up my yeast just a little bit in the bowl here. Make sure it's active. And if you're wondering if your yeast is active, you can just let it sit here, and if it bubbles up, it's active. So to that, I'm going to add in a couple tablespoons of avocado oil, and then 2 eggs. Perfect. Okay, and now I'm just going to put this up and run it here for just a minute. Okay, and as soon as that is all mixed up, you're going to add in about half of your flour. And this recipe calls for 6 cups, so I'm going to add in 3 cups. Sorry, this recipe calls for 5.5 cups of flour. So you want to add it incrementally so that you don't add it too fast or a little bit too much. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay, now with my dough hook, I'm just going to mix this up until it is all combined with the flour that's in there. And as this is mixing up, you can push down the sides of the bowl to make sure everything is getting mixed up. There we go, and we'll just keep on mixing. Okay, I'm going to add in a couple more cups of flour. And mix again. And the trick here is that you want to add flour just until it pulls away from the sides of the bowl there. Okay, and there's a couple visual clues that will help you know if you have enough flour or not. First of all, it is still really sticky, as you can tell here, so it doesn't have quite enough flour. And then also, if it has enough flour, it would be pulling up along the edges here, and it would be more just in a big ball. So I'm gonna add in probably 2/3, so now we're at about 5 2/3 cup flour. So I'm just going to mix this up again, and this part goes a little bit slower, just so it doesn't throw flour all over. Okay, so this is just about right. As you can tell, when you touch the dough, it's just barely tacky. So that's great. And then most of the dough right here around the edges has been picked up. So this is perfect. We're gonna go ahead and knead this for 2 minutes, and then I will cover it with a towel and let it rest until double. Okay, so there we go. Just going to take the dough off of this hook here. Okay, so I'm just going to spray this with some non-stick cooking spray. You could use a little bit of butter or a little bit of oil too. And now I'm just going to set it in this bowl here. We'll put the cloth over it and let it rise until double. Okay, so here is my dough. Look how pretty that is. It's been rising for about 40 minutes. Okay, and then I know you're probably wondering, what are we gonna do for the filling to get at this raspberry? And right here I have just some fresh raspberries, and then I also have some raspberry jam. And if you don't have fresh raspberries or the raspberry jam, you can use like frozen raspberries and then just mix up a water and cornstarch mixture and heat it on the stove to thicken it up. But this is what I prefer. I think it's really fun to have those chunks of big fresh raspberries in there. Now I'm just going to roll out my dough here. And I'm actually just gonna do about half of it at a time. And you can see how really light and fluffy this dough is. It's really pretty. Okay, and then I'm gonna flour my rolling pin here. And I wanna do this in kind of a rectangle to get the heart shapes that we're looking for Valentine's Day. Okay, so this is probably 14 inches by about 18 or so. And it's perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put my raspberry jam in my fresh raspberries. And then I'll use the back of the spoon and just kind of mash it all together. We don't want whole raspberries, but it's okay if we have some chunks of raspberries. And if your raspberry jam is really stiff because it's been in the refrigerator, you can just put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds and it will soften up really quick. Okay, so this is what we're left with here. So I'm gonna add about half of this and then just mix it all over my dough here. So altogether I probably have about 1.5 cups of raspberry mixture here. And now to get the little heart shapes, I'm gonna roll it from the top in and then the bottom in, and then we'll just pinch the bottom to make the little heart-shaped cinnamon rolls here, sweet rolls. Okay. Perfect. Now I'm going to cut them about 1 inch thick. So as you can see, they're about 1 inch thick there. And I'm not pressing when I cut this, I'm just doing it really softly. Okay, and then as you can see, you have these cute little hearts. So we'll just gently put them on. And if you do the points of the hearts in different directions, when it rises, this will fill in this space, and this right here will fill in this space. So we'll just kind of make these into a little heart. There we go. Put about 4 across here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put out the flour, spread the flour around a little bit, and this is the second half of my dough. So I like to get just a little bit of flour on it so it doesn't stick to the board. And then we're going to do a rectangle again. And if it's hard to roll, just give it a couple minutes of rest and the gluten will calm down a little bit and it'll be easier to roll. And we'll put the rest of our raspberry sauce on there. Spread that around. Okay, and be sure you watch to the end because I'm going to make a lemon icing and then also a raspberry icing. So it will be a lemon raspberry icing on top of these. Okay, and again, I'm just going to roll this up both ways here and then cut them about 1 inch thick. Okay, and these are kind of saucy, so they are just a little bit messy, but they are so yummy. It's so fun to have that raspberry filling in there. Okay, and then again, this is a cute little heart. And we'll just stagger them on the pan. The top part this way, and then swap it around there. Okay, so now we're just going to put these into a warm place and let them rise until double. All right, the sweet rolls have had a chance to rise and they're not quite double, but they are tender and soft. We're going to bake them in a preheated 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes or until the edges are just golden brown. All right, my oven is all preheated and now I'm going to put my sweet rolls in for about 20 minutes. Okay, so today, because I'm making these for Valentine's Day, I'm going to do something just a little bit extra. I'm going to be showing you how to make a lemon icing and then also a raspberry icing. And I don't usually do two kinds of icing on one cinnamon roll, but this is a perfect pairing, a perfect combination, and really is so amazing on these raspberry sweet rolls. Okay, so to do the lemon, this is what you're going to need. Okay, so in here we have our room temperature cream cheese and some vanilla juice, and then also I put in just a little bit of vanilla extract, and I'm going to add a splash of vanilla, and then this takes 3 to 4 cups of powdered sugar, so I'm going to start with 2 and whip it up until it's nice and creamy. Then I'm going to make quite a bit, so I'm going to put the 4 cups in here. All right, there is our lemon icing for the cinnamon rolls, which is great timing because these just came out of the oven. Okay, so here are my cinnamon rolls so far. All right, now we're going to add our cream cheese frosting, and this is a lemon cream cheese frosting, which is the perfect pairing for raspberry rolls. Okay, so here are my raspberry sweet rolls with a lemon cream cheese frosting. And then just to add that little bit of something extra, we're going to be making a raspberry icing. And this is the same cream cheese frosting, but with a raspberry twist. Okay, so I have this lemon icing that is left over. I'm going to add about a cup of powdered sugar and then a few tablespoons of raspberry jelly. We're going to mix this up and have a 2-tone icing. And of course you can actually just make this lemon or raspberry or lemon raspberry. Any variation of that buttercream is going to be amazing. All right, here is my version of a raspberry sweet roll. They are tender and soft and one of the most amazing homemade sweet rolls you are ever going to make. They are filled with thick raspberry filling, and then bonus, they're topped with this amazing lemon and then also a drizzle of raspberry icing. These are a really fun Valentine's Day dessert or a perfect way to celebrate with your family. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow me here, and I will show you all kinds of fun and easy recipes that your family will love. We'll see you next time.